Hi, welcome back to Happy Apple Core Homestead. Today we will be making a Comfrey Salve. This salve is good for broken bones, bruises, and pain relief. Also good for eczema and psoriasis. I'm going to show you just really quick the things that you're going to need, and I will try to remember to put a list up for you as well. This is grapeseed oil. You can also use olive oil or coconut oil. Here I have dried comfrey, which I grew in my garden, and then I dried it in a dehydrator. You can probably use fresh comfrey, but that's not this recipe. I'll leave you to research that later. You can probably also buy this online from various herbal stores. Another thing you'll need is an oven-safe dish that isn't too large for what you're doing, because you're gonna want the herbs to be covered in the oil, but we'll cover that in a minute. Then you will want a heavy bottom pan and a quart-size jar. What I don't have here in front of me is beeswax. I will go up to my studio where I render my beeswax and I will get some. That is something we are going to need for this recipe. I also have some dissolvable labels, half cup measuring spoon, and a bowl with a scale. This is important because we are going to specifically measure out the herbs and the oil so that the medicinal properties are proper, tested, and will work for you. Okay, let's go to the next step. The very first step to making the Comfrey Salve is to heat up your oven to 300 degrees, and then you will put in a ½ ounce. I have just slightly over ½ ounce of comfrey dried into the bowl, and then we will go ahead and put that into our oven safe dish, and then we're going to add between 1 to 1½ cups of the grapeseed oil. And we really just want the herbs to be completely covered in the oil. Okay, so we'll start with 1 cup, and I'm just gonna stir this and we'll see where we're at. And we'll give this a little stir. It's going to start to rehydrate at this point, and we want to make sure that the herb is completely covered in the oil. And I think I will go ahead and put in that extra ½ cup. Okay, I'm pretty happy with this. There's no more dried herbs, and it looks really nice. I'll come and bring it to you and show you what it looks like. Okay, so you can see how this is quite wet. There's no more dried herbs to be seen. Now that we have approximately ½ ounce of herbs and 1½ cups of the grapeseed oil, we're going to put it into the oven, but we're going to turn the oven off. So remember, we preheated this to 300 degrees. It is fully up to temperature. So we're just gonna pop this into the oven and turn the heat off, and we're going to just leave it alone for 2 to 3 hours. What that's going to do is just that small amount of heat, it's not going to cook this to death, but what it's going to do is start to extract those medicinal properties from the comfrey. So I'm going to pop this in, and I'll see you when it's done. Hi everybody, this has been in the oven just sitting after we turned the heat off for about 2½ hours, a little bit longer than the recipe calls for. The pan is still warm but not hot. And we're gonna go ahead and filter it through this jelly bag. And as soon as this drains through, we're gonna put the infused comfrey oil into this jar here. I also got some wax from my studio, which we will be using tomorrow. It's quite late tonight, so I'm just going to squeeze all of this out into the bowl, and we'll put it in here. This is a leak-proof plastic lid, which will fit onto my mason jar. Oh my gosh. All the hairs, you guys. Keep your hairs out of the way. Nobody wants hairs in their herbs. So I'm just gonna squeeze this out. Now, if we were making a jelly, we wouldn't want to do this, but we're not. So this is perfectly reasonable. Make sure your hands are clean. And we're just gonna squeeze everything out of this. Now that we have that taken care of, we're gonna go ahead and put this comfrey oil into this jar here. And we're gonna pop the lid on. Oh dear. Maybe wipe your hands off first. I'm a little slippery. Okay. I'm gonna clean this up a little bit, and then tomorrow we're gonna come back and make the salve with this oil and the beeswax. Hi! Okay, we're back and we're ready to go ahead and make the salve. This is the comfrey oil that we made last night. You can keep it just like this and put it in your cabinet and use it as needed, or you can carry on and make the salve, which is what we're going to do today. I have about an inch of water in the bottom of this pan, and we're going to use an ounce of beeswax. That's, I've already weighed it, it's an ounce. And we're going to use 4 ounces of the comfrey oil. We're going to put it right into this mason jar, and we are going to weigh it out. Okay, now that my thing is back to 0 here, we're just going to go ahead and pour this in and stop when we get to 4 ounces. All right, we're right at 4 ounces. And this will just go right back into the cupboard. And we're gonna pop the beeswax right into the jar, and the jar goes into the pan. And we're gonna turn the heat on to medium. You can also add an ounce of St. John's wort oil if you have it. I don't have it, so I'm not gonna use it. And optional, you can also put in some peppermint oil or something like that, which you wouldn't add at this point, you would add at the very end, but I'm not going to do that either. As soon as this is all warmed up and the beeswax is melted, we'll move over to the other counter and I'll show you the next step. We're back over here. This has melted and it's nice and warm. We have in front of us some jars. These have already been sanitized, so they're ready to use. And I have my dissolvable labels filled out and ready to go. So we're just going to open these jars. They come with this little lid here. I'm just gonna set those off to the side for now, because when we fill these jars, we're gonna wait until the wax solidifies before we put the lids back on. It's not too hot. I feel like I should have a funnel. Let me get a funnel. I have a funnel. Let's see if I can try not to make too much of a mess. Especially because wax is really hard to clean up. If you don't believe me, check out my video on do's and do nots of cleaning up beeswax. Okay, here we go. And it is going to solidify pretty fast, so you'll want to work quick. I think I do have enough for another jar. I have a whole box of jars over here. So I'll just grab one more. And you can see here with the color that this is the wax that's already starting to firm up in the jar. Okay, it's not totally full, but that's okay. That one will be for my personal use. Okay, so you probably wonder, well, now what am I gonna do with this jar? It's like covered in wax. It's gonna be a designated salve jar, but what I'm gonna do is I'm going to fill this pot up, I'm gonna melt this wax down, and then I'm gonna wipe it out. And that gets like 99% of it out of there, so that when you use a different herb, you're not mixing up your medicines. Okay, so that's it. For now, we're just going to let these sit here and solidify. And let's see, I'll check the time so I can tell you about how long it takes for this to firm up. And after that, we'll put the lids on and into the pantry they go. See you in a little bit. Hi. Okay, so this has actually been sitting for 2 hours, but I want to let you know that it only took about 30 minutes for it to solidify. I'm gonna bring one of these over to you and see if you can see the color. Oh, you can't. Okay, I'll take a photo and insert it. So I do want to show you, I'm hoping you can kind of see it from back here a little bit. It has a beautiful kind of lemon color. The texture is very nice. It doesn't smell at all. I did notice that when I applied it to my skin, there was a slight kind of beeswax smell to it, but there's nothing now. Thinking you can see this a little bit nicer. So here's the color. It's kind of a really pretty lemon color, like I said before. And I'm just going to show you the texture. So this is the small one that I won't be, you know, giving away or anything or selling. This is just for my own personal use. And so you can see that you can just put your finger in. Okay, and here it is, and I'm just gonna put it on my hand just to show you how it rubs in. It will not stain your skin. Okay, you'll have to ignore my extremely red hands. My house, I don't have a furnace right now, and my house is about 50 degrees and I have Raynaud's. So my hands are gross and red, but anyway. So it's a nice consistency. It rubs in very quickly and easily. Okay, now that we have all 4 jars are solidified, we're gonna go ahead and put the topsies back on. And we'll put the lids on as well. Okay, maybe I should wash my hands first. Let me go do that, because it's, you know, it's a salve, and it's made with oil, so I'm a little oily. I'll be right back. So rather than washing my hands, right, because I'm using the salve on the tops of my hands for pain, right, I just used a paper towel to get the oil off of the palms of my hands so I can go ahead and continue to work. And now we're good to go. Now that the jars are full, they're solid, the lids are on, we're gonna go ahead and put our labels on. You can put them on the lid if you want. You can put them on the side of the jar. What's nice about doing it this way is it kind of shows that your jar hasn't been opened yet. Now, I don't sell mine, but something to keep in mind, if you don't have a way to actually seal your jars, having your label between the glass and the lid, there's no way that somebody can remove this label with any kind of grace and not mess it up. So just something to think about. I'll have to make another label for this other one. Thank you so much for watching my video on how to make a Comfrey salve. This can be used for broken bones. It can be used for bruising to help increase your healing. My recommendation is to use it 3 times a day. Do not take it internally. This is for your skin only. I also recommend that you do not use on any open wound at all. Now, I'm not a doctor, and so I can't give you any kind of medical advice. This is just what I've learned. This is what works for me and my family. So just go ahead, and if you make this yourself, use it 1 to 3 times a day on your broken bones. For example, I have a family member who broke some ribs, and we're using not only the salve is really great, so you can just put this in your work bag and you can just kind of rub it on a few times a day. The oil is really, oops, that's some wax, extra wax. The oil works in the exact same way. The only difference is that this is not going to absorb into your skin as quickly, and so then therefore you could potentially have staining of, you know, if you're wearing a white t-shirt or something like that. For example, if you have a broken rib or a broken foot, it could stain a white sock. The salve is going to rub into your skin a lot easier with a lot less staining. At the end of the day, I really encourage each of you to kind of do your own research. Research the herb you're using, research the recipe that you want to make, and don't just take my word for it. I would love to just be, you know, a sounding board for you, a place to jump off from. And this is what works for us, but every body is different, and I encourage you to really listen to your own body and do your own research. So thanks so much for watching this video. I appreciate it. I will put the recipe for this salve both in the video, in a picture that you can save, and also in the description box. I hope you found this helpful, and I really appreciate each and every one of you. So have a good one. Bye.